We finally learn the true identity of Puppy in one of the secret videotapes, and it is truly shocking, yet something we could have predicted. In a recording where Puppy is talking about how after a long talk with the prototype, she agrees that they cannot leave the factory. She explains that her father, who used to run the factory, knew what to say and to make the best plans.
Prototype says we can't leave. Not now, not ever. I hate him. I hate him, and I hate this place, and I hate that he's right. He explained everything, and he's right. We can't leave. It's too risky. What they did to us, we can't ever let it happen to us or anyone ever again. Doesn't make me feel better about the bodies, though. What he was saying about them. I know there's not really another option. The toys will starve otherwise. They'll die. But it's still disgusting. I wish you were here, Dad. I could really use one of your talks right about now. You'd know what to say. When you were running this place, you always knew what to say.
This reveals that Puppy is in fact the daughter of Elliot Ludwick, who founded the factory, who seems to have died sometime after experimenting with the puppy flower, bringing her daughter back to life. To give you a proper timeline of the events leading to the aftermath of what came of Puppy and the factory, through a tape we learned that Elliot Ludwick lost a member of his family, which severely left a toll on him. The specific member of the family was the daughter, whose death shattered Ludwig, and ever since he wanted to find a way to bring his daughter back to life, and that's when he started experimenting.
Playtime Co. is the product of a great man by the name of Elliot Ludwick. Divorced, but a family man at heart. His sights were always set on bringing amazing toys to amazing children around the globe. Ludwig spent countless hours in the factory, working overtime relentlessly in an attempt to continuously innovate and surprise. In the 1960s, an unfortunate family death had pushed Ludwig down to his lowest. But with so much ambition, he rose back up and continued to fulfill his vision for the Playtime Co. toy factory. Ludwig could never be content leaving a project unfinished. But just how did one man come to create such an astounding empire? How did he manage to stay determined even after suffering such a tragic loss?
This loss encouraged Ludwig to experiment with the healing properties of the puppy flower, which we read about in an experiment note. Experiment 814. This experiment utilized a live rat. The rat was fed 3 portions daily for 2 weeks. At the end of the 2 weeks, the rat was killed and submerged into a puppy flower and preservative mixture. 1 week later, an electric shock was applied to the rat in an attempt to revive it. The rat remained unresponsive. Despite the failed attempt at reviving the rat, Ludwig continues on using the puppy flower and experimenting on more rats, believing the puppy flower has unusual properties which could be tested on larger subjects to yield different results. This clearly suggests that he experimented many more times, eventually managing to revive dead rats. All this seemed to be in efforts of bringing his deceased daughter back to life. This leads to Puppy seemingly being one of the first experiments to be a success, containing the soul and consciousness of Ludwig's daughter. The events between having Puppy successfully containing the soul of Ludwig's daughter and the latest experiments remains unclear to whether it was Ludwig himself that authorized the experiments or if the executives such as Eddie, Stella and Leith Pierre overseeing them. Based on the new secret tape, Puppy explains the father would know what to say in these situations, which means that he was alive for at least some time when Puppy came to life. Despite having her life gifted back to her, Puppy clearly isn't too happy learning what monstrosity she has become. Puppy might have gotten used to being a doll after some time, but it all comes to an end when the father, Elliot Ludwick, dies or disappears. We learn how the executives, possibly Leith Pierre and Harley Sawyer, keep analyzing Puppy and testing on her in order to learn the secret of how she has come to life. We learn much more about this through a secret tape.
Yes. I'm okay. Really.
Did the bad men hurt you?
There's nothing more they can do to hurt me. Nothing more than what they've already done.
Something's bothering you, Poppy. Something you need to talk about?
I don't need anything tonight. Ollie, I just want to sleep.
I think there's more to this. More that you're not telling me.
There's not.
I know what you're doing, Poppy. Talking like that. Don't think for a second that I believe it. Just tell me what you're feeling. Please, just talk to me honestly.
Talk? Talk? You want me to talk?
Yes,
And who talking to, huh? Will talking to you make them stop?
No,
I'm scared, Ollie. Is that what you want to hear? I'm scared, and I'm angry, and I really don't know what to do. The bad men don't say what they want. They don't listen. They don't care how much anything hurts. It's been weeks and weeks of taking things out and putting them back in, and taking things out and putting them back in. Over and over and over. Nothing's ever gotten better, and it'll never get better. But you know what scares me more than anything, Ollie? It scares me that every time they do it, every time they peel me open, I feel it less. Less. I hate them. And I hate him. And I hate... I'm nothing now, Ollie. No one. I'm a thing. And nothing they can do to me hurts more than that.
you're not nothing to me. You're Poppy.
Poppy, who was a symbol of hope and a big step in scientific development, or in other words, a miracle, happens to become a tragic story as the Playtime factory peels her skin again and again to analyze her insides, closing her off and then reopening her. This process hurts Poppy every single time as her physical human body is fused with the toy. She calls the staff in Playtime factory the bad men who keep on hurting her, but there is nothing that she can do, and seemingly her father is long gone to be able to do anything about it. She becomes one of the most valuable test subjects to the Playtime factory staff members who try to learn how to achieve this feat in science. Eventually, they grow more poppy flowers as we see in the labs beneath the factory and experiment on thousands of children and adults. Anyone they dislike, anyone they want to discard of, or anyone that they see fit, they used to experiment on and transform into these dolls. So at first, a seemingly innocent and maybe even great idea and achievement led to thousands of vulnerable children and adults losing their lives, their humanity, and freedom. Elliot Ludwick started to experiment in order to bring his daughter back to life, but in the process, he allowed evil people take advantage of this achievement and use it anyhow they see fit. They destroy the lives of many in the name of science, something Stella Graeber explains to be a great achievement in humanity if they succeed, leading to billions being saved.
I won't lie. I was at a loss for words at first. The information hit me pretty hard. I felt so badly. I still do. For the ones that go through the, testing.
You really care about them?
Yes. It hurts to see them hurt. I don't think there's any way around that feeling. But I did some soul searching and got to thinking about the bigger picture, about what your researchers wrote.
And?
Well, the work itself, what you've all been able to do, I mean, it's nothing short of a miracle. I know you have more goals to hit, but even as is, just, wow. Do they know when it'll be fully ready?
We're still working out the timeline.
I see.
You know, the project lead, Dr. Sawyer, wasn't sure about giving you that information in the first place. He thinks your affection towards those kids could be a liability. What do you think about that?
I took this job because I wanted to help change kids' lives for the better. Of course, these procedures are far from ideal. I cried like a baby when I read them. But I started looking past the here and now. Started looking down the road a bit. And that's when it clicked. What your researchers can do down here will someday help a lot of people out there. Including so many kids. That's a bigger and better change than I could ever have hoped to make. That's a change I want to help make.
I knew you'd understand.
She explains despite doing such horrible things to children, the end goal is what make it all worth it. So it all simply started with the daughter of Elliot Ludwick coming back to life after losing her life in a tragedy. The specifics of how she died and how the first experiment successfully brought her consciousness into the doll are not clarified, but it seemingly was enough for Elliot Ludwick, who didn't want to perform such experiments anymore. Elliot's involvement in the future experiments is not specified. We don't know how involved he was in the project and if he authorized those horrible tests. All Elliot wanted to do was to bring his daughter back, which he finally managed to do. So the big mystery is finally unveiled to who Poppy is. She is Elliot's daughter. At first, she could have been happier alongside her father and being alive and well, but I doubt the father or even herself were fully content with just having the daughter trapped in the body of a foot-long doll. Maybe through more experiments, Elliot tried to bring his daughter's soul into a human body, but as far as we know, he was not successful. Poppy, having lost all hope and feeling scared and angry, feeling less and less human, she gets approached by a kid called Ollie, who speaks to her through a telephone, comforting her and giving her courage to fight on. It is of course till the very end that we learn Ollie was the prototype all along, and he, being a master manipulator, used this as a way to turn Poppy against the organization and create a rebellion. In the meantime, Poppy managed to talk to the prototype directly, who agreed with the prototype about not being able to ever escape the factory, as the world outside will never accept them as they are. But the prototype wanted to use the factory as its new domain alongside the other dolls and live a life of being a monster, hunting for humans outside the factory to live on as long as he can. But Poppy becomes conflicted, not wanting to live a life of a monster, hunting and killing humans, and that is when she disagrees with the prototype, and of course majority of the dolls and toys side with Poppy, who despite being victims and having terrible things done to them, they decide to do better and not repeat the cycle of hurting other humans. That is at least the case for the dolls that did not lose their mind and consciousness when being transitioned to dolls. This created two different factions within the factory. Those who chose the way of the prototype of being hostile monsters, and those who chose the life of pacifism and wanting to not hurt anybody. But unfortunately, this led to more inner conflict, as the only option left for these dolls not to suffer or starve anymore was to die, as otherwise they would have to hunt for food, which meant hunting humans. Poppy decides to blow up the entire factory with all the dolls within in order to end everyone's suffering, while Dowie, who deeply cared about the dolls, wanted to take their chances and escape the factory and try to live amongst humans. This internal conflict leads to Dowie becoming hostile and attacking the protagonist, who dies in the process. Trying to go ahead with Puppy's plan, the prototype intercepts their plan and uses the explosives against them, with Puppy running away, afraid that she will be trapped back in her case. It's horrifying to imagine how children are the ones trapped in these dolls' bodies, cursed to be eternal in the form of plushies, while their minds never grow, who still are kids within. With all that, they should make such conflicting and difficult decisions, and all because of the evil greed of these evil men, who have the audacity to say that they are doing this for the greater good. Whatever good they would achieve, they should never forget the evil that they did to achieve it. So now we know Puppy is Ludwig's daughter, whose revival turned out to be the biggest curse that she could ever have. Instead of being a blessing, it made her wish that she was never alive, suffering for so many years. Now, for Chapter 5, we need to see what plan will be fulfilled. Will the prototype succeed? Who will have a reign of terror on anyone in the surrounding towns and hunt for humans? Or will Puppy succeed and kill all the dolls by blowing up the factory? Or, even though difficult to believe, will the dolls be able to escape and live amongst humans in peace? We can only hope for the best. And that is it for this video, folks. If you enjoyed it, make sure to stay tuned for more by hitting on the subscribe button and the notification bell. As always, it's been your host Star. Thanks for being here, and I will see you on the next one. Take care.